Welcome to our webinar, Creating Engaging Apps with QuarkXPress and App Studio. My name is Matthias Günther. I'm a Senior Product Manager for Quark, and I'm going to show you how you can build engaging apps using HTML5. So what we're going to talk about today is what we call the new App Studio to be released in November. We're not talking about the current App Studio that you might be using, also called App Studio currently, and we're going to rename that to AVE Publishing once the new App Studio ships. So one of the big advantages of the new App Studio is that the content is 100% HTML5 based. I'm not going to give you a lecture about why HTML5 is so much better, keeping the file size smaller, being a standard and all this kind of stuff. I just want to reiterate what that means for you when you create content for an app. First, I think you need to understand that when we talk about HTML5, we don't mean a layout that adapts to a browser size so that it reflows. What we mean here, and you're going to see that in a minute when I show you the software, is that you create pixel perfect layouts. They're going to stay the way you designed them. Still, everything is based on HTML5. So when you turn your tablet, when you show your layout on a different device, it's going to look the way you designed it. So you, the designer, are in control. Of course, you don't need to code HTML5 yourself. You just design using a tool that you know, QuarkXPress or InDesign. And App Studio is going to do the rest for you. So just a brief overview how this works. You either use a design package like QuarkXPress or InDesign, and you create your layout. You can also use HTML5 tools if you want to. That's an option. You don't need to. But you could use an HTML5 tool to also upload any HTML5 page to App Studio. Or you can automate the whole process by sending an XML stream out of a system or using a Quark Enterprise solution to automate your layouts. Everything goes into the App Studio cloud and there is managed. And we're going to look at that in a minute. And then once you're finished, you can export this to all devices that you want to publish to, which is, of course, the iPad, Android, and also Amazon Kindle, the Kindle Fire. And you do everything when we look at designing it in just a few steps. So you're going to create your content, pixel perfect design. You can also reuse print design that you have, print layouts. Then you enrich it with interactivity, add videos, stuff like that. You upload it to the App Studio platform. We're going to look at that, like I said. And then once you're happy, you're going to publish that. That's going to be the second webinar that we have scheduled. So just to give you a brief agenda of what we're going to see today, we're going to see how you set up the portal, how you design your pages here in QuarkXPress. We have a second webinar scheduled where you can see how you do that in InDesign, how to add interactivity, and once you're finished, how to upload that, how to test it within the portal, and then test it on your device. In our webinar part 2, we're going to show you how you can create the app and how you can upload that to a store, to an app store like Apple's iTunes. So before we start, you should really think about a pricing plan that makes sense for your digital publication. Of course, you have a 30-day test account, so you can test everything before you decide. I just want to talk you briefly through these pricing plans. We have the single edition, which is one publication. Basically, the content is within the app, and you can create branded apps for iPad, iPhone, and Kindle Fire, not Android. And out of QuarkXPress, you create your layout, you export that, and it's a one-time fee, and you can see the different prices here. If you have a publication that needs updates, like a monthly magazine or newspaper or corporate brochure, then the kiosk app is probably the right way to go. And the first plan here for kiosk is the Pro multi-issue plan, which gives you one publication with unlimited issues. You can create an app for iPad, iPhone, Kindle Fire, or all of them if you want to. It's basically a newsstand, or it integrates with Apple's newsstand feature if you want that. Gives you subscriptions and even 1,000 issue downloads per month. And that's the monthly price that you see there. This one also only available from within QuarkXPress. The third plan, Premium Multi-Issue, it's basically the same like the second one. There's 2 or 3 additions. One is you can integrate with a subscriber database, which means that you can sell subscriptions outside Apple's App Store, for example, and just link into your existing customer database and offer them incentives like if you subscribe to our print edition, you get the digital one for free. But that's up to you, of course. It also includes more issue downloads, 2,500 downloads per month. Of course, if you need more, you can always purchase more. And that's the monthly price in all the currencies that you see there. It's available from QuarkXPress and out of InDesign. And of course, you can mix it. You could also create some pages in QuarkXPress, some in InDesign, some in HTML5, developing tools even. So that's up to you. And then the fourth one is our enterprise and agency plan, which means that might be interesting for you if you want to do self-hosting, so not hosting what we offer within Amazon S3, or if you have multiple apps and you are looking for volume discounts there, or you want to integrate that into your existing enterprise ecosphere, or maybe that you want to automate publishing to apps using XML or other automation features. So if you're interested in that, give us a call. It depends on what feature you need, and a feature could also be, of course, a custom feature that you need for a very specific app. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to talk about before I show you software. And the first thing that we're going to look at is the App Studio portal now. So the first thing I need to do is I need to register or create an account in the appstudio.net portal. For that, I'll just go to the URL, enter my email address here, and create an account. My email address needs to be verified. I don't need to decide for a pricing plan yet. I can do that later. It's basically a 30-day free trial. Of course, if you are interested in other languages, there is little buttons you can click down here, and I'm just going to continue here to register my email address. So I'm getting a confirmation that I have received an activation email, and that's what I need to do. I need to click on that link now. I've already prepared that, so I click the activation link, and I just have to specify a few things about my organization. So I'm just going to call this, let's call this my company, and industry is going to be design. Organizational size, let's just say it's just me, and the country is going to be, let's say, United Kingdom. Okay, next thing I need to do is I need to confirm my name, my phone number, my job role, password, any password. Okay, I'm going to use QuarkXPress here, and I'm going to accept the terms of use that you can see when you click on that link. Fine, so I'm just going to create my account, and I'm basically done. And the next thing I need to do is I need to set up my company. What kind of publications do I have? What kind of issues do I have for my publication? And you can see there's a button here, Create Publication. And I can say get started, and I'm going to guide you through some things here before we actually get started and design some content for our app. So before I get started, let's look at the other sections that we see here. So users, I can invite several users to help with my publications, and that's also the place where I can invite my customers for testing purposes maybe. So I can invite my user. Email address is going to be designer@quark.com. Designer is going to help me with all publications, going to be designer, and a customer I could add here as a tester. So let's invite that guy, invited, and I'm basically done here. What do I do in settings? In settings, I can specify my organization again. I have hosting possibilities. What do I want to use here for enterprise plans? Of course, I can self-host. Otherwise, it's the Amazon S3 hosting, notifications, XML content, and also sections. We're going to look at that later on the second webinar because that is a bit early now to set up. So first thing again, let's set up a publication. So we're going to create a publication here by clicking on this button. And I'm just going to call that my magazine. Where do we host it? Maybe the US East Coast Amazon S3. I'm going to save. And now I've created my first publication. I see 31 days remaining for my trial. Of course, if you want to look at the pricing plans again, I just click on upgrade and you can see all of the options that you have here. But for now, I don't want to do that. I just want to set up my magazine first and take you through the rest. It's basically a 31-day trial and I can decide for my plans later. So let's view my magazine. I don't have an issue here. So let's create the December issue for my magazine. Subtitle is going to be how to create an HTML5 based app. Deadline, maybe not today, it's going to be 2nd of December. And description, in-app purchases for my iPad. Let's just leave it that way. We can always change that later. So I set that up. And next thing I want to do is I want to go to App Manager. And in App Manager, I can now decide what kind of devices I'm going to serve. Again, that's something we're going to look at in the second part of the webinar. I just wanted to show you where that is hiding. So my users again, my settings that we've seen before, and here the settings for my magazines are now filled in. My magazine region is US, and do I want to have the issue orientation for portrait only, landscape only, or do I want both? Okay, so I'm fine now. I have created my first publication with my first issue, and if I'm going to look at that view, you can see it's empty. There's no content in there, and that's what we need to add. Of course, I can click here on Add Content and now import HTML5 that I created in an HTML5 coding tool or visual tool. That's not what I'm going to do here. That's an option, of course. So I could add some pages, let's say for a puzzle or for an animation or stuff like that. I'm going to use QuarkXPress. I could use InDesign. In this session, I'm going to use QuarkXPress to actually create this kind of content. So let's switch to QuarkXPress. So for that, you need QuarkXPress 9.5. The first thing I want to do here is I just want to briefly show you how you set up an App Studio layout. As you probably know, when you use QuarkXPress 9, there is different layout types that you can set up in QuarkXPress. Print, web, which is HTML4, interactive, which is Flash, ebook, which is EPUB or Kindle, and then App Studio. In App Studio, what's new in QuarkXPress 9.5 is that you have different devices that you can select. There is not specific devices listed here, and that's not really so important. What's really important is the aspect ratio. So if you have an iPad, it's an aspect ratio of 4:3. If you have an iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4, then you can see the aspect ratio is 3:2. The iPhone 5 has this 16:9 aspect ratio, and the Kindle Fire has this aspect ratio here. So you can either choose to use all of them or just a few. So I could say I want to publish for the iPad and for the Kindle Fire, and I'm just going to add this to my layout. I'll say OK, and then you get this typical view where you see horizontal and vertical view at the same time, and you can see now there's the Kindle Fire in there too, so that you can design for all of the devices. And of course, you don't have to design for each device and for each orientation separately. Just very quickly, and you've seen that a lot in demos that we've done in the last year. This is the new App Studio. So if I add some content here and I want to have the same content in different orientations, then I'm not going to copy that over, let's say, to the Kindle Fire vertical here. What I can do is I just go to Item and going to copy that over to other layouts, same position or relative position, and you can see I copied that over to all of the other orientations. The nice thing here now is if I change anything here, like maybe a different font, this one here, and a different point size and a different color, this is only changing in one layout, in one device, one orientation. Still, all of the content is synchronized. So if I put something in here based on HTML5, you can see that it's also changing in the other layout. So that saves you a lot of time. Okay, I'm not going to create a layout here from scratch. I'm going to open one now that I have prepared. So first thing I want to do is I want to show you how I add some interactivity. This is just a normal QuarkXPress layout, an App Studio layout that I've designed. And you can see I have some boxes here, picture boxes, text boxes, and stuff like that. What I've done here is I've created a layer called interactive, and that's where I'm going to put my interactive elements. You don't need to do that. You can, if you want, to put everything on one layer. I just found it's very easy, or much easier, if you keep all interactivity on one layer and layout on another layer. It just makes it easier for you to author. So the first thing I want to do is I want to use this picture box, this empty picture box above my text, to fire up an email to somebody. So I'm going to make this box a bit bigger. Why not? Remember, somebody's going to use a tablet and a finger. It's not as precise as a mouse, so it doesn't matter really if this invisible picture box is bigger. It helps your users, your readers though, to actually find that link. So that's my picture box. First thing I need to do is I need to open a new palette called HTML5. In this palette, I can add all of the enrichments that App Studio offers you. What I want to do here is I want to create a button. So I can just click on create a button and I get a default name. It's always better to use speaking names so that you later on find out which element is actually what and you don't have button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually will call this send email button. It's going to be a button, and this button can trigger an action when somebody tabs on it. So what is the action going to be? It's going to be go to a URL, and I'm not going to use an HTTP URL. I'm going to use mail to Günther@quark.com. So when somebody tabs this, we're going to fire off an email. It's that easy. Same thing with web links. So when I want to have a web link here, I'm just going to select my picture box. I'm just going to make this a bit larger, like this. It's going to be a button. You can see there's a default name. I'm going to do that for time reasons now that I'm going to name all of the objects. Like I said, you should really take care here and take that extra time. It helps you later on within authoring. So here is just going to be go to URL, and maybe we use quark.com here. And visit another page. My last one that I have here is I only have a one-page document here. Of course, if I have more pages, what I can do is I can just say go to page or go to next page or whatever I want to do here. So go to page 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. With the new App Studio, I don't need to have my whole publication within one QuarkXPress layout. We're going to see later on that we get an article ID from the web portal. So I can use this button to actually jump between different layouts. Once I create my app, all of these layouts are going to be combined. So I just need the article ID and then the page number of that article ID to actually jump there. And that's how you can mix QuarkXPress and InDesign documents or HTML5 documents and even have navigation between them. For your readers, it's going to appear as if it was one app. For you, for authoring, it's much better that you can actually split that up in sections or whatever you want to do here. Okay, so I'm finished. Let's have a look what we've actually created. For that, I need another palette. It's going to be called the App Studio Publishing palette. And here I can put in my name, appstudio.quark, appstudio.quark.com. And if I remember my password, I will be able to log in. So you can see I have my company here. My magazine is already pre-populated. If I had more publications, I could use this pop-up to actually select more. And there's my December issue. Article name is just pre-populated with hyperlinks. I could, of course, call this something else. And to actually see this, to preview this now, all I need to do is press the upload button. And this is going to be exported to the App Studio Cloud, so to the App Studio portal. And that's where we can actually preview this. You can see it's uploading and now it's finished. So let's switch to the portal. For that, I can either click on View Online or I just manually switch to Safari. Let's click on View My Issue. You can see there is no content yet. There is content coming and is going to be compiled. I can manually click on compile if this actually something went wrong. So this compiled by itself. And when I mouse over this one document here, you can see I have an edit button. If I click on edit, I can actually put in here what kind of title is that, what description, authors, section. I don't have any sections set up, so let's do that first. I'll go back to my company. I go to my publications, I go to settings, and here's my sections. And what I can do here is maybe add politics, red is fine, I'll use sports, and here I want a different color, maybe green, and I'll do a third one, local affairs, going to be blue. Save, and now I have sections set up. I'll go back to my magazine. I'll go back again into my December issue. I go to edit, and you can see here now that I have sections, and maybe this is local. So save, and I've assigned a section to it. When I refresh, you can see that up here I actually get this color coding, and we'll see that in the app later also when it says local. Another button here, the third one, is to compile again if something went wrong. Typically it shouldn't, of course. And the middle button is really the important one. It's my preview button. If I click that, you can see I'm not opening any other applications. I can actually view this within the browser. That's the beauty of HTML5. A browser will show you that. So when I scroll down, I have my page here. You can see this is selectable text. It's my HTML5 text that I have here. And if I want, I can actually tab on this link to visit the quark.com page that I set up. It's the home page from Quark. Why don't I see the mouse cursor changing? It's easy. Remember, typically this is a user using a tablet using this button, and of course there is no mouse over button because the finger actually triggering that. Okay, so I have created my first page of my magazine. Let's go back. And what I want to do now is I want to add some other enrichments. But I think you've seen the basic concept how to create this kind of stuff in QuarkXPress or InDesign. You can design your pages using the typical design tools that you know. You add enrichments, you upload it to the portal, and then you can actually test it. So let's create another effect. So here's a document where I want to add some audio and some video. Again, I have my interactive layer and I have some elements here. And the first thing I want to do is in this picture box here, I just want to add some audio and I want to show an audio controller. It's very easy, HTML5 palette, give it a name or just click on audio to get a default name. There's my audio and I can set up some attributes like autoplay, looping, stop the audio when somebody turns the page, stuff like that. I can also hide the controller for my audio, but then of course I need some other methods of starting that audio. For my file, my audio file, I need to select that. I have some audio here. There's going to be the pull quote audio. I'm going to say open, and now my picture box will contain that audio. There's another way also, of course, to play this kind of audio. We're going to look at how the controller looks like. If you want to custom design how music is starting, that's what I will do here. So when I zoom in, you can see I have a button designed. Above it, there is an empty picture box again. And I can use that to play music, maybe to play background music. Same concept, audio. I will select my audio file. This is music. Let's use this one. Open this. And here I'm going to hide the controller. So then, of course, I wouldn't be able to play this. So that can't be it. Let's get rid of the audio file and let's go for a button. And what I will do is I will use this invisible picture box as a button, and the button is going to be play sound file. And same thing here, just select the sound and I'm done. It's that easy to create this kind of effect. And the last thing I want to do on this page is I want to also embed a video here. So for that, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to select my picture box. I'm going to import a still frame so that somebody can actually see what this is, that this is a video. Import the poster frame here. That's fine. And now I'm going to make this a video object. And the video object I can either embed. That's what I'm going to do here. There's my small movie. For small movies, it's probably fine. Just remember that when you embed videos, it's going to increase the issues of the app content. And with large videos, I would recommend go for the URL option. So just reference it, put something on there saying you need to be online to view this video. And then I think your readers will be thankful that they have smaller downloads and can still view the videos. And of course, if you don't want to host videos yourselves, you can also add the source URL of YouTube or Vimeo here. In this case, I'm going to embed the file. And again, I'm finished here because I'm going to show my controller. So we are done. I need my App Studio publishing palette to upload this. My company, my magazine, December. Video and audio is fine. And I'm going to press upload. You will probably notice that this might take a bit longer, depending, of course, on the size of the video, because that's also first being compressed, then uploaded, but that might take some time if the video is much larger. We try to upload only elements that have changed. So if you have many videos, that should be fine. But again, that's something you will experience when you author yourself. Okay, uploading is finished. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this looks like what we just authored. For that, I'm going to go to Safari again. It's not there yet. So let's just press the compile button. There's my file. I will preview this. Move down a bit to see it better. And here you can actually see the differences. My first picture box has this this controller. So I can tab on it. Remember, you're on a tablet. And you can see the typical audio controller. My second picture box here, I can just tab on this button. And you can see or hear my background music playing. I forgot a stop button. So there's my first usability issue when designing apps. And the last thing I want to show you, let's make this music a bit lower. So the last thing I want to show you is I have my video controller, which is basically this typical play button here in that picture box, showing the picture frame, the poster frame that I added. And now what you can see is this video is playing also when I tapped on it. Again, being able to preview this in a browser to see the experience here, and everything that I added works the way I designed it. So what if I now want to preview this not in a browser, but I want to preview this on my device, on the tablet? That's possible too. So let's go back to my magazine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on the test button. What's happening now is this is being built as app content that I can view on my tablet. For that, I need an application, a little app called Quark Issue Previewer to view this on my tablet. Let's show you my tablet. I'm going to use a little helper tool to actually mirror the display of my iPad onto my Mac. So here I just need to log in into my publication using this app. So what you see here is all of the publications I set up for my company. I'm going to select my test magazine, and you can see my December issue here. And if I now tab on download, it's going to download onto my iPad, and that's where I can actually start reading it. Okay, I'm going to view this. So I can see my my magazine here, my 2 pages. I'm going to put that into portrait mode because, of course, that's what we created. And when I tab down here, you can use a little slider to actually move between pages. And you can see also the local section that we set up, the blue one showing here. I'm going to go to the second page, and here's my layout. All again HTML5. So when I select some text here, you can see I can actually select text. I can play using the controller.
To our customers, the sooner they can react to what's driving their business.
I can play my background music. And I can tab my video to actually play. So a great way of actually showing or testing my layout on my device. So let's go back to QuarkXPress and do another enrichment type. What I want to do here is I want to create a slideshow. And for a slideshow, same thing. I just have a picture box pre-created here, and just for authoring reasons, I put that onto an interactive layer, and I'm going to choose slideshow. And now the first thing I'm going to do for slideshow, I'm going to add picture files, images basically. And one thing that you can see down here is it's not only possible to add images, it's also possible to add pages from QuarkXPress layouts. This has a huge advantage because, of course, what you can do is you can create your own captions. You can have interactive effects again within a slideshow because they are App Studio layouts. So you could add anything in there that an App Studio can hold. So that's a really great way of customizing your slideshow and putting any kind of layout or typography in there. I'm not going to do that here now. That's probably going to be an advanced webinar that we do later this year. I'm just going to add slides from picture file. And for that, I'm just going to select slideshow 1, 2, 3 picture files, open that, and I've added my 3 slideshow images. You can see, well, they're quite big, so I'm going to just make them a bit smaller here, maybe like this way. Other slideshow, this one is fine, and the earth is a bit larger, maybe like that. So you can see how my slideshow will look like. Again, I can give attributes to my slideshow. So what I can do is I can allow interaction, which means my user can actually swipe through the slideshow. I will allow full screen maybe to show the pictures. And if I crop a picture, what I can also do is maybe this one, show the uncropped image within full screen. If I don't want my users to actually, my readers have to swipe through, I can also give it a slide duration, 5 seconds, maybe slide over 2 seconds, and I can add a Ken Burns effect. That's something we're going to look at in a later effect. And again, I'm done. Next thing to do is App Studio Publishing Palette and click on Upload to actually upload the slideshow to my portal. And here I'm going to preview this again in my browser once the upload is finished. Okay, upload is completed. Let's go to our portal. It's already here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview my page here. Again, everything in the browser. So there's my slideshow. Let's wait 5 seconds and you can see my slideshow actually auto-playing. And of course, if I want to, I can also swipe through the slideshow using a mouse to preview this. This is again HTML5, so everything that's possible in the app I can actually preview here in my browser, with a small exception that maybe if I had a pinch zoom or something, that's something I can't really simulate with my mouse, so I need to go to that iPad app that I just showed you to actually preview this. So a really great effect for slideshows. Let's go back and maybe create another effect. What I want to do is, in this layout, I want to create a scroll zone. And why would I create a scroll zone? Well, what if you have a lot of content, a lot of text? You could, of course, decrease the font size, which is not really good for readability, or you could make a really long page, also not very nice, or put it on several pages. A very good effect to use is actually to keep your reader on the same page so they know where they are from a media experience. That's probably the best that you can do. And just put the text in something, well, like a scrollable text box almost. Of course, it doesn't have to be only text, it can have any effect. So what I want to do is I want to create a new text, a new picture box. And what I want to do is I want to show the text I have here within that text box. So in this scroll box here. So what I do is, this is a separate layout in QuarkXPress. Has the advantage if I have different orientations here, different devices, I can also reuse that there. And all I need to do is effect scroll zone in my HTML5 palette. I'm going to link an existing layout. If I didn't have one, I could create one. I will select the scroll layout. I will say next, and I'm basically done. To make it a bit easier for my user to understand that they can actually scroll this area, I'm going to put a scroll bar and automatic arrows in there. When I select the composition zone tool, I can actually preview how this is going to look like within my layout here. And now I want to see that as a preview. Again, App Studio Publishing Palette. Here is my publishing palette, and I'm just going to upload this. And then you can see that some of the uploading actually happens in the background. So it frees you from waiting for the upload to happen. Upload finished. And let's switch to the portal again. Wait a bit until this element will show here. If the browser doesn't notice this, you can just press the compile button. There's the element that I have here. Going to preview that. There's my layout with my scroll zone. Here's my scroll button, and you can see that I can actually scroll this up and down. So a really great way of adding more text onto your page without destroying the user experience. One thing you might have noticed is that in all of my sample pages, I have this little info button, how to create scroll zones. And when I tap this, or click this in the simulator in the browser, I get a pop-up window. And pop-ups is another way of keeping your user on your current page without confusing the user, the reader, where they are, and to actually give more information about the content that you're describing. So how do I create these kind of pop-up menus? They're not prefabricated. That's something you can create yourself. For that, I'll go back to QuarkXPress, and you can see how we create that. So what I've done in this example here, all I have is I have a picture box that is a button to show pop-up, and this pop-up is in another QuarkXPress layout. Let's create that from scratch. So I'm going to delete this button again. Let's first have a look at this pop-up layout. And the pop-up layout I have here, seem to be some issues with my fonts, that's fine. How to create scroll zones is just picture boxes, text boxes, anything you want in QuarkXPress you can actually create here. So I could create a drop shadow for my pop-up. I can use transparency. I can use any kind of layout elements in QuarkXPress. And all I need to do in my main layout is to actually call this. So this picture box is going to be a button. The button action is going to be to show a pop-up. Which one? QuarkXPress layout. It's going to be the scroll one, and I'm going to show page one, and then I'm basically done. So it's that easy to create your own custom designed pop-up menus with QuarkXPress and App Studio. The last enrichment type I want to show you is picture zoom. Picture zoom is a nice way of using the same picture and allowing your reader, your user, to actually pinch zoom into that. So what I can do here is, let's just take this as an example. I'm going to get rid of the existing picture here. I'm going to create a picture zoom, and I will allow pinch zooming. Of course, what I need in here is I will need a picture. So let's go for one that is quite large, maybe this one. Make this a bit larger, and let's upload this. Okay, that was quick. Let's go back to our portal. And I need to go to my December element. There's the image coming. And let's preview this. I didn't do that in portrait, I did that in landscape. And here's my element. I already see the difference. I have scroll bars, which of course are only shown in the browser. I can't simulate, unfortunately, the pinch on the browser. Browser doesn't pass these events on. So what I need to do is I need to show you that on my device, on the iPad in the test app. But I won't do this because I think we're running out of time. So the last thing I want to show you here is that you can also use this to actually have a Ken Burns effect that you design how it should look like. Ken Burns effect is typical moving a picture and zooming in or out. So when I take out my pinch zoom and I will say I allow animate pan and zooming, which is the Ken Burns effect over 8 seconds, what I can do is I can say my picture should actually start here. Let's make that picture box a bit smaller. I can make my picture a bit bigger. It should start here, and over 8 seconds it should move down here into this zoom level. So a way how you visually design how a Ken Burns effect looks like. I think that's really great. And last thing to do to show you that, I will upload this to the portal. So here in the portal, when I refresh my page, you will see the Ken Burns effect happening as I designed it. Cool. So let's just recap. What have we seen? We have seen how you set up the portal, how you customize your publication, how you invite other users, how you set up what you actually want to publish and for what device. And we're going to show you more in the second part of our webinar later on this year, how you actually create the app then to show that content. We have seen how you can use QuarkXPress to actually design content, how to enrich it, how to add interactivity, how to upload that, how to then see it, preview it within a browser, and then also test it on a device. Everything in HTML5 that you can use on different devices and that you can actually see in a browser the same way as you can see it on a tablet or on a mobile phone. That concludes the seminar for today. I hope you had fun watching it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.